What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Bird, and once again, I am joined by Rob Chismark, and you are watching or listening to the Sticky Side Podcast. What is up, Rob? How's it going in Middleburg, Florida?
It's going great, man. It's a balmy 94 degrees, and
Oh,
I can tell you that doing a podcast in the middle of the afternoon in my studio is not exactly what I like doing. I can
well,
tell you evening podcasts are better for me.
yeah, this is like our first midday one, and the
It's
reason
crazy.
why, because we're interviewing John Karayan in Ventura, California. You know, the Spencer McKenzie's dude. That's what I call him. He's the man. He's the one that started the Spencer McKenzie's Fish Co. and the throwdown. I have to emphasize throwdown.
Yeah, John has spent a long time making that word, the throwdown, the most recognizable word for a cornhole tournament in the world. I mean, it's the largest cornhole tournament in the world,
Yeah.
and not only is it the largest, but I think it pays out the most. So to be something like that in the world is pretty daggum impressive, without a doubt. So
Almost a
I mean, it's
quarter.
going to be awesome. John is fun. I've known John for 5 years.
I want to say almost $250,000 in prize money. Sick.
Yeah,
That's insane, man. So, hey, it's been a while since we
yeah,
did a podcast, man. This is our first one in probably a month. You know,
yeah.
it's good to be back up here, man.
Little, how's everything going? I know the last one you were recently off of hip replacement surgery, and then I also saw that you went and saw my favorite band last night.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, I was sitting watching a band that I like as well. I was watching the Lumineers, but
Mm.
you were watching Kiss.
Kiss,
Are you
baby.
freaking kidding me, bro? That's
Gene
amazing.
Simmons.
I'm glad you got there.
Those 72, 70-year-old men still killing it, man. Gene
Paul
Simmons
Stanley still sounds the same.
still sounds the same. He's still ripped. Speaking of ripped, man, you working out?
I am.
You look
See
kind of
that?
big, man. You were like leaning over
Yeah.
earlier, and your shoulders are like getting a little jacked there, son. Slow down.
Yeah, about 18 pounds I've gained in about 4 or 5 weeks. I'm working out probably between once and twice a day. So
Oh, well,
yeah,
there you go.
I,
Yeah,
I felt like I told you, man. I don't know if you, I mean I don't talk about I don't talk about the woes of my life as often as maybe people want to hear.
hmm
But two strokes last year, and July 7th, I'll be coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the second one, which was really, it was detrimental. I still have numbness from right behind my ear all the way down to
hmm
my toes. And I felt like, I mean, there's obviously nerve something going on because it feels like everything is asleep. So when you're laying on your arm and you wake up before the tingles, that's what I feel like in this side of my body, on the right side of my body. And so I thought to myself about 6, 7, maybe 10 weeks ago, I said, I gotta do something. And I quit doing something maybe 5 years ago. I have a home gym that's beautiful. It has every piece of equipment that you need
hmm
to do what you need to do. And I was like, you know what? I don't even have to go anywhere but outside my back door. So I said, I got to get in there, and I started working out again. And I started, like I said, man, I'm sometimes twice a day because I really want to feel, if even if I'm not healthy, I want to look healthy.
hmm
I want to look like, and I don't have, and work is hard for me to do because I don't have a lot of balance, and uh, I don't have a lot of endurance, and in this side hasn't been a lot of strength. So I figured
hmm
I would get to it a little bit different, and
Well, you know, once you get those
try to work
muscles
out.
on your right side fired up, man, and you're going to strengthen up, and you're going to feel a lot better, and you probably
Oh yeah,
will get some of that mobility back. It's just you,
I do feel better. There's no
yeah.
doubt about it. I do feel better.
We're not spring chickens, bro. We're getting old. I mean, you
Nah,
got to take
yeah,
care of your body, and if that means going to the gym once, twice a day, or at least if you get in there for, like, I don't bullshit when I go to the gym. I know people
me
that
either.
say, hey, you know, I go to the gym for an hour and a half a day. Okay, son, how much of that time are you just sitting around on your phone, or are you talking to your
Yeah,
workout buddy? When I go to the
right,
gym, I'm on my phone. It's only because I have a workout program on it, and I
right.
will give myself minimum rest in between sets. I get in, I do 8 exercises, 3 sets of 10, and I'm out in 45 minutes to 50 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't play around. I put my AirPods in and I go. Um,
That's what I do. I do about 12. I do 12 times three. So it's about 36 different sets. And sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes it doesn't because sometimes I get tired from what I just did. So I got to rest a little longer, but
yeah,
I bang, bang. I go at it,
yeah.
it's basically, it's supposed to, three times four is what it ends up.
And
I do four and so yeah, that's how it goes for me. So
yeah, because like the reason why we took this hiatus was mostly my fault because I got hip replacement, a complete hip replacement on my left hip back on March 31st, and man, I'm gonna tell you, it just that shit affects you mentally. After a while
oh
being in
yeah,
your house all the time and you can't do anything. But
yeah,
now I'm back to probably around 80% full mobility. I don't know if I'm good
good.
enough to throw bags yet because I think I'm going to have to change my whole throw because of the hip because I'm still a little sore. But I kind of know now. I will have a feeling I know why Frank changed his motion. It has to
Right.
do something with the hip because I don't think I can go back to throwing the way I am because I feel kind of off. Maybe that'll
Yeah.
change once I get my other hip done. I don't know, but yeah, maybe that had something to do with it. Frank just had his second hip done 5 days after I did, so we've been kind of communicating with each other, seeing who's going to get to the courts first. He's
He
probably
was
going to beat me,
there. He was in Utah. He was in Utah throwing bags. So
which
he
is
got there first.
wow, and that's crazy because I'm 5 days ahead of him, and I still like have problems getting in and up and down out of chairs, in and out of my
Right.
car. Hell, I just drove to Pensacola last weekend down and back by myself, and that's 11 and a half hours. And I'm going to tell you, every time I got out of that car to take a break, it was like, where's my cane? I
Yeah.
need my cane and my walker, ladies and gentlemen. It
Right.
was it
Right.
was rough.
Right.
But damn, good for Frank, bro. Good for Frank.
Do it.
Got to brag on my
I,
daughter right quick because she's on her 4th week of Army basic training right now, and you know, just having her going through this is it makes me a proud dad, and I'm gonna probably get a little emotional here, but I
I
just
get
want to
it.
share that with the cornhole world. She's at Fort Leonard Wood right now, and it's awesome. It's pretty cool.
And I knew that was part of everything as well. I know you just came off hip replacement. Your daughter just went, you know, left the house, pride and joy. I
Yep,
know your son was gone a couple of months ago, but just to have that, that empty nest. Oh my goodness, I really am getting old.
man.
Everything all at once, and then you shaved the whole face. I mean, you were a different person in the mirror. I mean, I
It
get it,
was
brother. I get it. So
yeah,
that's
it
why I
was
tried not to bother you too bad. I mean, no matter how bad I wanted to be in front of this camera, I understood what you were going through, and I know you get a little emotional when I throw my digs at you. So I was trying to leave you alone.
it was a bad
So
month, man. It was a bad month overall, but we're over it now. We are back, and I'm still not on the boards yet. But damn. Well, how did Frank play?
you're in the
And
gym though.
I'm in the
You're in the gym.
gym.
I don't know how he played, but I do know he did play, and that to me was impressive enough.
Yeah,
Uh, I played about 3 days removed. No, I played 1.5 days removed from the hospital from my second stroke when I went to Atlanta and it was 100 degrees, and
uh,
I played like pure trash. But
mm,
just to see him out there tossing bags was, that's impressive, man.
awesome for
So,
Frank, man.
yep,
All right, cool. Here we go, man. Let's talk to John.
I like it.
We got John Karayan, founder of the Spencer McKenzie's Throwdown Cornhole Tournament. Arguably I don't know if it's even arguably, it's the largest cornhole tournament in the world. Wouldn't you think that, Rob?
I do. I do think it's the largest cornhole tournament in the world. I've heard of some other things where like Tampa Sport Fest gets a bunch of teams, but they don't really play a tournament. They just kind of play some cornhole to 11 and they move on. It's pretty cool down here too. But what John does is definitely the largest cornhole tournament in the world with the round robin play on one day and then a double elimination tournament the next day. Uh,
I
Definitely
gotta
the largest one that I've ever been to, largest one I've ever experienced.
I gotta tell you, I heard the big buzz about this event. Probably it was pre-pandemic, I believe. Got a bunch of guys from North Carolina. John, you know Greg Stanley and Dickie
Mhm.
Adams Pops. You know those guys.
Yep.
We used to run tight in the cornhole community down here in North Carolina, and they were
Good,
telling me about it.
good
And then I would,
people down in China. Good people.
yeah, man. North Carolina, man. Some of the top players too. For a long time, and then the cornhole virus just went crazy in the United States. Now everybody's good. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Greg
Yep.
told me about it, and I saw his pictures on Facebook, and I always wanted to go. And then Rob reached out to me last year and was like, "Hey, man, why don't you come on out and hang out?" And man, I have never seen anything like it before in my life. Hundreds of boards, seemed like thousands of boards over that long uh, piece of property out there. I don't even know how many acres that was, but that was amazing to see. Well, John, tell us, man. Tell us about Spencer McKenzie's. You are a fish taco place, right?
Yeah. So I'll give you a little history, I guess. So one little history of how it all started.
Yeah, man.
So, so I was a building contractor. I started framing when I was 19. I've always pretty much entrepreneurialism has been in my heart since I was young. So I started framing when I was 19, and when I was 22, I started doing all my own kind of side jobs and projects like that. And then I got my contractor's license when I was 25, and been working for myself ever since. So I always wanted to have, I'm a fisherman and hunter and fisherman. And so from the time I was 18, 19, I wanted to have a fish taco cart, I thought back then. And in my early 30s, I told my wife, I said, I really want to open up a fish taco stand. And so I was kind of getting burned out on construction already and kind of saw the writing on the wall with the recession. And so we, in 2005, I started getting serious about it. Started researching. I designed a trailer, had a trailer built in Florida, flew down to Florida twice, went fishing while I was down there, had a trailer built, and started in 2006 with a trailer, 2007 with the trailer doing events. And it got popular really quick. We started doing local stuff, and it manifested within a year or two to doing big festivals, which Coachella and Stagecoach, largest, some of the largest music venues in the world, like Coachella. So that kind of it went from there to opening the restaurant. And from that experience of doing all those music festivals, it kind of intrigued me to want to do some type of event at my restaurant. So 2009, roughly, we blocked the street off and did an old school block party, in a summer block party, where we had bands all weekend long playing music. And there's a lot of local bands in Ventura. We're a beach town. There's a downtown area with bars, and so there's a lot of music here, and everybody wanted to play at the event. And so it was awesome. So then I realized if we're going to pay for permits and have cops and security guards and fence the street off, something else has to happen than just music from 10 in the morning till 10 at night, 2 days in a row. And so I originally was going to do a horseshoe. I told my buddy, I said, I think I'm going to do a horseshoe tournament in the street. And he's like, that's a lot of work. You gotta, make sand pits, and there's just a lot, because it's a lot of work. He said, why don't you do cornhole? This is like 2010. And we actually go into the lake when I was in my early 20s. This goes back to 92, 93, 94. One of my friend's dads had homemade cornhole boards and cornhole bags made out of Levi's with corn in them. He was from the Midwest, and we played cornhole at the lake, and nobody knew how to. No, there was, you're just throwing a bag at the hole back then, right? And we'd sit at this lake we go to, had grass right in the water, and we'd play cornhole and drink beer all day. The lake sucked for water skiing and wakeboarding because it was small. So we played cornhole. So my buddy's like, why don't you do cornhole? So I had a cornhole tournament, and I think the first year it was roughly like a 32 team tournament. We put up, several $100s for first place. We sold out, and then everybody that came loved it. And I really honestly believe that I was the first person to throw an organized cornhole tournament for money in California that I know of. I could be wrong, but I believe, and so it went from that to the next year. We had like 48 teams, and then it got really popular, and going back to like 2013, something like that, we had guys from Arizona that came out to play in it. I put like $1,000 up. They won, and then the word started spreading through the cornhole community. I put up $3,000, I think, and I'm going to actually do something to really showcase all this and get the exacts. But it was like 2014. We did like $3,000, and guys started coming from across the country. And this guy that you guys probably never heard of him. His name's Isidro.
Oh yeah.
He comes out and he says, we did the math, and he goes, nobody in California can beat us. And he did the math. I think it was him and Chris Day. And so they're like, we pay for a hotel room and plane tickets. We're going to go out there, get a free party, have a great time in California. We're going to win money because no one's going to beat us. And he did. And I think he tried to kind of keep that low key for a while because he didn't want people, it was easy money, right? And that was like 2014 is when it really just spread like wildfire. There's guys like Ken Jones is really instrumental for me. Ken went to the Worlds and told people about this great tournament. And there's a whole evolution of everything that's happened since then. But, honestly, I'm pretty humbled and pretty fortunate that I actually just got lucky. I got lucky that we had this, idea, and it went from party to a little more competitive to very competitive, very big party. And, we evolved. I made mistakes, obviously. And, everybody probably continue to make mistakes, but we learn from the mistakes. So anyways, just kind of staying on it grew and it grew, and I learned, and I'm very passionate about, if I do anything, it's just in my blood. I go 120%. It doesn't matter what it is. Like I follow through with things, and I'm the worst critique of my event is me. Mm-hmm. So it's not that it always has to be bigger is always better. It has to evolve, and I always want to shock people with like, oh my God, last year was so awesome. It doesn't mean that it's bigger this following year. It just means that I did something new. I did something, innovative, and I tried to improve on the experience. My whole thing, I go back to saying a lot, as I say, I want to make it the Coachella of cornhole tournaments. Coachella Music Festival is massive, and it's worldwide, and people come from, I did that for 10 years. People come from all over the country, a lot of people from Australia, and they got to the point where the tickets go on sale for Coachella. It sells out in a matter of days, and they don't even know what the lineup is. They don't even know the bands. They just know that they want to have one of those tickets to be there for the experience. Yeah. Early in the throwdown, I realized it's not just about the big prize money. It's about, there's only so many spots in the tournament. I want one of those spots. I got to be in that tournament because it's the best experience in cornhole. And cornhole has evolved so much from, back then to now that, there's kind of like Coachella. There are cornhole tournaments all over the country now. There's a cornhole tournament pretty much any given night, 7 days a week on some level across the United States in every city, right? At some point.
Probably one going on every minute of the hour at some place.
And it's a great thing. And so
Yeah.
I think it's great for, there's a lot of great tournaments. And so for me, I'm so competitive. I'm not saying that I'm better than somebody else, that I'm the best. For me internally, I want to put on the best show on in cornhole. There's so many great leagues out. I mean, there's every state has, and every town has small leagues, big entities.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ACO, you have the ACL, you have the TCL. You have Joe Schwartz, who's helped me a lot and been very instrumental in this. CCA in California. Everybody's passionate and doing a great job. For myself personally, I'm competitive with myself. Like, I want to be the tournament that just continued. It's a festival. It's not a cornhole tournament anymore. It's a festival.
Yeah.
I want this to be where everybody in the world congregates at this tournament to celebrate cornhole, and it's like an industry thing. To me, it's a Super Bowl of cornhole, the World Series. I mean, the World Series of cornhole, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my,
well,
in a nutshell, my take on explaining to people so they kind of get what it is.
And this year, you not necessarily changed the format, but you partnered up with the ACL now, right? They're going to be running the tournaments, and you also went away from the single type of bag format. It was like every player uses the same bag. Now you've got 25 vendors supplying bags. So
yeah.
Why? Well, let me ask, why the change? I mean, like if you've got something, you see it growing every year, and why decide to change that?
Well, I guess we'll give the history of the bags now. People that know me and have followed and they've heard the story. The first year we had a tournament, I had there was nobody on the internet, period. And the internet's come a long ways since 2010, right?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't just go buy boards, and you couldn't buy bags. I mean, I think there was one person out there that we found on the internet on the East Coast that actually sold bags. So we went on and kind of we figured out what the specs of the cornhole boards and bags were to do it properly. We made our own boards. The boards were decent boards for the time. The street is for all the guys that know, there's a lot of challenge in the street. It's a street, right? You got curbs and you got, the street's crowned, so the water goes to the edge, right? So you got these, the first year we had the tournament, you got the boards and they're a little bit crooked and they're trying to put extra bags under them to straighten them out. And then, so the bags, I just didn't know what to do. So I said, okay, well, there's a company here in town that does canvas work. They make sails for sailboats. They do awnings. I thought I could go down there and give them the specs and have them make me cornhole bags. So I went and talked to them. I gave them the dimensions and the weight, and I measured out the corn, and they made the bags, and the bags were not all exact. Some were oblong. They didn't put the right amount of weight in them. I bought popcorn instead of the proper corn you'd use in a cornhole bag back then.
Oh, you didn't leave those out in the weather, did you?
Yeah. No. So guys are throwing the bags down on the ground, trying to break the popcorn in. The bags are falling apart. So the next year, I had them make them again. They did a little bit better job. But still they were definitely, not, what we have nowadays in by any means, or what guys were using on the East Coast because they knew what to do. The third year, Matt Phillips and John Benner said, we can make better bags. And so these guys made the bags, I'm just guessing, with a sewing machine at John Benner's house. And they did a pretty decent job, right? Just canvas, bags. that year, Ken Jones says, hey, this is the type of bag the guys are using now. You need a bag like this. You know, it's got two sides, a slow and a fast side. And the following year, we got a much better bag. And probably, I think it might even had the silicone in it at that time. And then as the event was getting larger and trying to figure out what the best for the event was, I reached out. Someone said you should reach out to Chad with All Cornhole. All Cornhole said, Chad's like, no problem. I'll be a sponsor and give you all the bags for the tournament. And then you can sell the bags at the end and get some sponsorship money. And that's what we did. The Chad 2018, I moved the event to the park, and we had a large, I think that year it went to 330 some teams, whatever it was, something close to that. Now you have all these bags that you have to account for. So we put all the bags out the first night. We're excited, like, hey, we're here to all have a good time. Guys pile into the event, and we had all the bags out on the boards. Well, guess what? By the end of the night, we're missing 20 sets of bags. Guys are stealing them. Mm-hmm. So Joe's like, there's got to be a better way. This is a lot of work for us, and I'm hard-headed. So I'm thinking still, this is the best thing for me. So the next year, we missed it because of COVID. We sold out 576 teams in 60 minutes. COVID happened, we couldn't have it. So last year, we had it at the fairgrounds. We went to opening up to 1,024 teams. COVID got really sloppy last year in the summer, and really it was going around, and people were having a hard time, partners getting sick, and a lot of different things. So we had 900 people pay to sign up. About 700 teams showed up. So now you have 700 teams in a tournament, and you've got bags for 160 sets of boards, 700 teams, and you're having to manage all these bags. You're having to hand them out, hope they bring them back. It was too much. So I thought last year, because my mind's always, spinning on, different ways for marketing, how to make the tournament better. There's several bag companies that I felt like, hey, these guys have supported me for a long time. It would be nice if they had an opportunity to be a part of the event that they've supported and promoted. Mm-hmm. At the same time, my emotions are, Chad has been awesome. All Cornhole has been incredible. I don't want to take something away, but Chad's an incredible businessman and very easy to work with, and he understands. And so we have good conversations. And so Chad was okay with, he understood. So I thought, let's open it up to the bag companies that supported me throughout the last couple of years, that when I asked, can you donate some bags to my blind draws for the event, they did. I thought, that's how I'm going to come up with who's involved in the tournament bag manufacturer. So I said, so I can at least say, this is why I chose these companies, not favoritism or professionalism, right? So I thought, we allow 18 companies, and now the players can choose the bag they want to play with. This is going to be a win-win situation in the fact that you've got bag companies that have sponsored players now, and they spend a lot to sponsor these players. I feel like the Throwdown is one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world. I feel like, these companies are going to get a ton of exposure out of being there, especially with now being filming. We're going to be filming live streaming on ESPN3 this year. We're going to be live streaming on courts all weekend long. It's a great opportunity for these bag companies to maybe have one of their pros win the tournament with their bag, get exposure. I just think this is the right way. Now I don't have to manage bags anymore. The players can purchase their bags ahead of time, break them in, play with them. It's still a battle. It's still a throwdown, because yes, we're not providing the bag, but there's only 18 companies, and they have to choose the companies that are approved by us. They can't bring any bag. They have to use the bag the company chose. They get to choose 2 series, and they go to that company. They purchase the bags from them directly. I don't have to manage the sales of the bags, and the companies are getting the exposure of people going directly to their site and making people aware of their sites because they sell more than just bags. So it, I felt like it's a win-win situation. What do you think about that, Robbie? Tell me your perspective on the bag decision.
I would say that for me, being there I've been there the last 5 years. And for me, it's kind of a mixed emotion thing, only because I obviously want the opportunity at the exposure and would love for my bags to sell well and be part of the throwdown. But it really is a throwdown for the adjustment of each and every one of these players to grab a bag that they've never touched before, or maybe they have, and make those adjustments and become the best player that day or that weekend. So it's really cool to see that element. And it's kind of who's playing the best. I mean, it's the first time, so it's unprecedented, but it's who's playing the best and who practiced the most with that bag in a new situation or their situation. And they're going to come in practiced and ready. And, no matter what, the cream is always going to rise. But I feel like they got an opportunity to be more ready. And you say it's the most prestigious. The purse is definitely the biggest of any one tournament in the entire world. So now these people are going to come in more practiced and more adept to the equipment. So, like I said, it's just kind of a mixed bag of emotions, because I really do enjoy the fact that it's one set of bags for everybody. I do understand the management part, and it's not easy, and it's one less thing that you have to do. It's just, I love the opportunity, but I also really like the fact that it's one bag most of the time, or it has been every year up to now.
At the end of the day, when it comes to the bags, because that element of the wind out there, I don't care what kind of bag you're throwing, unless you can engineer a bag that can cut through the wind, like the wind's not even there, everybody's still going to be on equal throwing, if you ask me.
Yeah, my thoughts are, I got to look at the business end. So the business end is, I'm all about embracing everybody, and the more you embrace everybody and we all promote this together, it's better for the event. So now I have 18 companies that their sponsored players can play. The people that throw their bags can play with their bags. They're promoting the tournament. I'm promoting the tournament. I'm promoting them. It just helps bring more awareness to building this tournament up. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect, I always go back to Bob Vaunch, my Uncle Bob. And I said this the other day to somebody, Bob is an incredible player from my eyes. And Bob is very superstitious about bags. It seems like a lot of cornhole players are very superstitious about bags. And I tell Bob, I said, it's in your head, Bob. You're an incredible cornhole player. You should be able to pick up any set of bags and battle against somebody and be able to beat them because you're such a great player. So the other aspect that it comes to it is, we're not all using the same bag, but now you can choose the bag you want to play with, and you've got no excuse to some extent. I mean, for the most part, most of the bags are going to be played with will be in this tournament. So, guys like Bob, I've thrown Bob on the table, but Bob now can't say, there's no excuses. Like Bob throws ultras. He's got an ultra in his hand. and you know, he can't have any excuses. The weather last year, the weather wasn't, for the guys that know, I mean, we've, you know, this is good. We're going on 11, 12 years of a tournament now. We've never really had a wind issue. It's not, even though we moved the venue closer to the beach, that was very unnormal for wind last year. Like, we've had a little bit of wind over the years, but you know, we've never like that. So the wind blew very hard last year. It wasn't normal. We've had years here. You got to be careful what you wish for. You know, I always want hot, warm weather, right? So about 5 years ago, it was dead calm, 95 degrees at the event, which 95 is very warm for here. Mm-hmm. And people were dying. It was so hot, right? Not normal. With that wind last year, you know, I would say typically you're going to have a little bit of wind, and the kind of wind you can deal with. Last year was just really windy. We're changing the layout of the venue this year, and I think it's going to help a lot with blocking when wind does blow. And, you know, but so people kind of understand, because they keep hearing wind. Typical Ventura weather, nice and warm during the day, you know, high 60s to high 70s, low 80s is very typical for our event. Mild wind in the afternoon, little windy, maybe not crazy windy. You're by the beach, you got a little bit of moisture, but you got to be prepared, because it could get a little foggy in the evening and get really moist, right? There's all those different variables. It's outside event. So, you know, I still have mixed emotions. I think it was really awesome to have you all use the same bag, but at the same time, I think it's really awesome that now they can choose. They've got 18 companies to choose from, and and bags have evolved a lot also, right? So now you got carpet, you know, you got these different materials that guys are throwing, and they can now have 2 different bags, one to play with during the day, one to play with night. And it kind of comes down to the decision of the bag they decide to come show up with the play too. They might have the wrong bag for the condition. You know, what do you think, Rob?
Definitely, that could be a factor, not having the right bag. But the fact that there's 18 different manufacturers, and there's going to be people still selling those bags out there, they can go get another set. You know, they can.
Well, no,
they find it.
They won't.
I didn't hear you.
That's a good point. So maybe we can talk about the bag program and how to buy them, and what you can and can't use. And can we talk about that now? Are we ready for that portion?
Yeah, before we do that, man, let me because I misspoke earlier. I said 25 vendors. I don't know where I read that, but yeah, like you said, 18. And let me go through the list right quick. I'm gonna just name out all these vendors. So you got all Cornhole. We got Fire Cornhole. We got Mr. Chismark's brand, Boardman Cornhole, Ultra Cornhole. Yeah. We got Lucky Bags, Dragon Bags, Reynolds Bags, Mother Shuckers, Cornhole Scenario, BG Cornhole, Kill Shots Cornhole, Zero Gravity Cornhole, Raven Down Bag Company, Local Bags, which I really like their bag design on this one. Octane Cornhole, Contraband, Titan Bags, Burley Bags, and that's your 18 suppliers right there, man. So some pretty good options, and all those bag designs are pretty freaking cool. I wish I could get a set of all of them.
Well, no, for sure. Yeah, thanks for calling.
Good news is you can.
What's that?
I said the good news is he can get a set. It just takes a visit to their website come Friday.
Yeah. So tell us about that, John. Like, we want to grab these bags.
Well, so I thought, once again, I thought the best way to approach this, and I'm learning because it's the first time I've ever done this. It's been trust me, it's been overwhelming for myself in putting this all together over the last 12 weeks. There's a lot of moving parts, but I thought the best thing is that we promote these companies, we push everybody to their websites, and then you purchase the bags directly from them and they ship the bags out, right? So yes, there's 18 companies. We have 2 reviews that are coming out. The first review is being released on Thursday, May 18th. The second review is, Wednesday, May 18th. Then following night, May 19th is the second review. And then the bags will go on sale on Friday at 12 o'clock California time. So you'll be able to go back. I think this podcast is coming out. What day do you think this podcast is going to be out? Friday morning?
It'll be out. What's today? Wednesday? Yeah, it'll be out by tomorrow. By tomorrow morning.
Okay, tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So they're going to hear this and they're going to get the information. And so we did a fun video for starters that I didn't want to critique the bags. I want to critique them in a certain way, mainly just to, we asked guys, I said, you can take my logo and put it on one side of the bag and design whatever you'd like to design around that bag on both sides and be creative. I feel like you got 2 aspects. So you got bags that people want to buy to play with in the tournament. You got some guys that are going to want to collect some bags, and you've got people that essentially, after all the players have got their bags, hopefully, they'll continue to buy bags, and this will be good for the companies to be able to, people want to buy bags because of the design. The designs are so cool, and it'll help get exposure to those bag companies. I'm all about, it's a win-win for both of us. So the designs are freaking awesome. I mean, it's the first year. So I think a lot of the bag companies are going to realize, like, hey, I didn't realize that I should have put a little more time into the design. I'm more focused on my bag than, a fun logo for the weekend. And most of the companies nailed it. The designs are super, super, super cool. Like, they took the beach theme, or they took a little bit of history from the event, or something about me, and they put it in that bag, and it's amazing. Like, we were blown away by, and you'll see in this review Thursday and Friday, in the review, we're going to show the designs, and then we go through in the review and we just talk about, it's a fast bag, it's a slow bag, it's going to be good for this condition. We just have fun with it, and we try to promote the companies. We didn't get super, super technical. We had this, John Benner made this, and we made it fun with it and kind of a joke out of it. John Benner made this board called the Benner Speed Meter, and he has it to where you can put it from 0 all the way to 45 degrees and tilt it. We put the bags on it, and every company would put both series, slow and fast side, and then we tilted it till they started to slide, and we said, okay, it took 17 degrees, 15 degrees. It's really just about having fun with it and promoting the companies and showing people their options for the bags. I feel like a lot of the higher level players, even the guys that aren't sponsored, they have certain bags that they like to play with, but at the same time, it's opening some of the guys' eyes to, like, oh, I want to try that bag. That's another bag I haven't tried. And I think that might be a bag I want in my arsenal for this event. And I can tell you, we had all the bags out for this review. The setup's really cool. And Matt Phillips and Dave Garibaldi and Steve Corona, I made them my team to help me with doing the show. The first night when we were setting up, we were throwing bags, and how cornhole guys are, right? I'm focused on, like, let's get this set up awesome. Let's talk about our dialogue. Matt Phillips is being critical. He's got a notebook. He's trying to figure out, like, what are we going to say? And within minutes, we look over, and Dave Garibaldi's collecting money for a blind draw between all of us. Like, we're going to have a...
That's
right?
Dave, buddy.
True cornhole player right there.
Cornhole people. I'm focused on business, and Dave's already thinking, like, so we had a fun thing. There was a couple other people there kind of watching us set up. So we had a small blind draw, and the deal with the blind draw was it was like a 3-round, till you get seeded, and then it was double elimination, switch Holio type of thing. But you had to play with a different set of bags every game, right? So everybody had to play with a different set of bags. And it was Cameron and his fiance were there. And so it was really fun because we all got to try different bags. I'm just an average cornhole player. I'm just, I play for fun, just average. But Dave Garibaldi's a really good player, and so is Matt, and so is Cameron, and so is Steve. And Steve knows a lot because he does bags, brews and reviews with Chris Cook. So they were able to try different bags, and they actually came out of that saying, like, I think I'm going to throw this bag in the tournament. And it was a bag that Dave Garibaldi had never even thrown before. So he really liked it. So I think that's what's really cool about it is you can go try and, it's going to open your eyes to maybe a bag you haven't thrown that might be something that, Dave made a comment in the video, and I thought it was pretty genius and funny. He picked up a set of bags and he goes, this bag really liked me. That was his saying, which is funny because this bag really liked me. So, I think
bag you just picked up. I like that one.
Yeah. Well, so, I'm throwing
that one really likes you.
So here's Rob's. We got a
pretty simple,
slide, right?
sleek design.
Yeah.
That one looks like the Magnificent Go.
I'm gonna call Rob out on it. Rob's got a pretty plain bag, but he wanted to keep it simple and and as
simple
I'm sitting here, simple and sleek.
Is that the Boardman bag for the tournament this year?
Yeah,
this is
both
this
models.
Is
we're gonna have red and orange also.
Okay.
What's that?
What did you choose there, Rob?
The Go Slide is the yellow one, and then the Magnificent Go is the green one. We're gonna come with the other two colors are gonna be red and orange.
Okay.
For each of the two series. So the series there in your left hand is the Magnificent Go. It's gonna be a little bit more controllable. Kind of for the days when the sun is out and you want to be able to stop both sides, kind of. And then the Go Slide is going to be for the evening. It's a little bit faster on both sides. So
okay.
So each vendor is supplying two sets of bags, two different colors.
But each company is chose two series in two different. So they're going to be, I'd imagine they're all going to be purchased in a set of 4, right? So, if a team knows that they have a bag that this is going to be our main bag, it's probably in the best interest that they each buy a set of a different color. So when they go to throw a game, let's just say the other team has the same bag, they can say, okay, well then we're going to throw this color because they're going to, we've got both colors covered. That's one thing. And so I'll kind of go on a little bit about how it's going to work. And I don't want to get off on tangent, but I think that there's going to be so many different companies but there could be a situation where a team comes up and they both have the same bag and they both have the same color. And so in the rules of the event, we're going to allow them to play the game with the same bag and same color. If they choose to, it's going to be on them. They're going to have to mark the bags with the Sharpie. They're going to have to put at least an identification on their bag so that they can self-monitor this game. And they can say, okay, well, they're both these yellow bags, but one's got a JK and one's got for John Karayan and one's got the RC for Rob Chismark. They can agree, on whose bag's in the hole and who's, they can score the game and they can agree. It might be a little tiny bit of work, but if that's we just try to cover all situations. So if that were to happen, that's how that's going to be regulated.
Well,
Um,
let me ask you
and
this, John. I don't know if you were going to cover, but what if you've got, you're going to have these players that show up and they're like, I don't want to buy bags. Are they going to supply bags for us?
yeah, so that's a good question. So I didn't want to make this, and this wasn't a power move. Like, hey, I'm gonna find a way where I'm gonna make money, and you got to buy the bags off of me. And that wasn't the case. So at the end of the day, the in-kind sponsorship money I got from All Cornhole from providing the bags and selling them is about the same as me having this program, having companies sell the bags, and I get a percentage of the bags. At the end of the day, it's 10 times more work for me, honestly, and it's about the same money. I just thought that this was a great way to do it. So you have the opportunity to buy bags, but if you don't want to buy bags, I came up with a way that now it gives me at least control of not having to monitor them so much and have them stolen. And it sucks. It just takes a few people to ruin something, right?
Yeah.
But it's still great. So if you don't want to buy bags, you'll have a choice of All Cornhole, the bags that he provided for the tournament. It's All Cornhole and Fire. It's only those two companies. You'll be able to go check a set of those bags out. It's not every company. It's just those two companies. There's no way that I could go get bags from every company and purchase them. It'd just be difficult. So you go up on, the way it works is on Friday or Saturday morning, you're going to go up to the booth and you're going to check out a set of bags with the credit card. And you hold on to those bags all weekend. We're not going to go back and forth to checking bags in and out. You hold on them for the weekend. At the end of the event, when it's over, you come back, you return the bags, and you don't get charged. It's free. If you decide that you're not going to bring the bags back, that means you're telling me, hey, I love the bags and I'm going to keep them. So we're going to charge your card for, the price that they were sold for on the internet. So yes, you can check out bags for no cost. They're going to be washed one time. They're not going to be, we're going to wash them and dry them one time. So they'll be a little broken in, but they won't be broken in. The benefit of buying them is you get to play with them. You get to break them in. You get to, get them, dialed in for the event. But if you don't want to purchase bags, because there's going to be some players that are just, they're there to have a great time, play cornhole, and they're not as competitive. They're like, well, I really don't want to purchase a set. I'd rather just use the tournament set. So that's how that will work. You do not have to buy bags, and you just have to have a credit card to check them out, and you're not going to get charged unless you don't bring them back. I think it's very fair.
No, that's a fair deal. That's cool. I mean, because it's kind of like when you go to the bar and you open a tab and then you just forget about it later on that night, and boom, they hit you up the next morning with the charge. Same thing with the bags. That's probably going to happen a lot there.
And and hopefully everybody but they might want to keep them but the scary thing for me, and one other reason why I had to change something was, if I've got 160 sets of boards out there, right? And so say we need 155 of those sets for the tournament. What happens if by Sunday we're missing 25, 30 sets and we don't have enough to run the tournament because guys have stolen them or lost the bag? It hasn't happened, but the potential was there, unfortunately.
For sure. I was going to ask you if there were any other changes that you wanted to discuss, any other cool things that are coming up that you wanted to talk about since the move to the fairgrounds. I know you changed the configuration. You were very conscious of the wind, and I know some of the configuration has changed a lot because of the loud. While the stage was set up, we had while the main stage was set up, we had the stage behind us, so there was a lot of loud music and a lot of loud going on the whole time. So I know you changed that as well. And then with all the different live feeds that you're anticipating are going to happen this year, that's a big change. ESPN3 is a big change. The shootout going to be there early. That's a big change. What are you looking forward to most as 2022 is coming closer. What are you looking forward to most, for the Throwdown 2022?
Well, that's what makes this is what I start to go. This is what excites me. The tournament is the tournament I'm passionate about, and it's incredible, and it drives me to have the best tournament, right? But I'm put as much or more, probably more focus on the event and the experience of the event, right? And the beer, and I put a lot into it. When the weekend comes of the event, my focus is more so on the environment, the experience, the layout, making sure everything is, dialed in, and, and I've got a great, entity to run the tournament. That's on them to run the tournament for me. I'm focused on as Rob knows, my hand is in everything. Like I know exactly where I want every banner. I know what the banner is going to look like. I mean, I put a lot of time into it. Before I get into that, can we just finish one note about the bag, just so we can explain, so they understand when they go to buy them?
Sure.
Real quick. I just want guys to, I want to explain, because it was a little confusing to people, and some things are kind of taken out of context because they didn't understand. So when the bags go on sale, the agreement that I had with bag companies, it's a little difficult. So I didn't, bag companies can't just go, they don't know how many they're going to sell. So they can't go produce 300 sets of throwdown bags. It costs them money. So they produce 300 sets of bags. What if they only sell 60 or 70 or 100 or 40? So that was, it's got to be a win-win and it's got to be a good experience. The other thought that I had for it was, what I don't want is, I don't want people to go purchase bags from a company and then it take 12 weeks for them to receive those bags. And then all of a sudden I'm the bad guy, right? So what we came up for the beginning was, in my agreement, each company had to have a minimum. Doesn't mean that's all they're going to have. It means that they had to have a minimum of 50 sets of bags on hand on May 20th, that day. So that day on May 20th, they had to have a minimum of 50 sets of bags to ship out that day when they got ordered. Most companies, and some companies just, they're smaller, and they make them by hand, or they can't, I didn't want to put them in a position where they got 200 orders and they only had 40 sets made. I wanted to kind of dictate to them a little bit, like, you have to have 50. If you sign the agreement, you have to have 50. So people were concerned. A lot of comments were like, well, that doesn't make sense. There's 18 companies. Each one provides 50 sets. That's not enough for the tournament. It was only, they had to have a minimum. Pretty much most companies are going to have, they're going to be prepared. I've talked to a lot of the companies. They're going to have a couple hundred sets ready to sell right away. And then once they fulfill that agreement, I'm hoping that they'll be able to get bags out in a timely manner. Say they sold all that they made, but then Rob orders a set from the Boardman, or from, Reynolds Bags or Ultra or Cat or whatever. And then they are able to say, yeah, we'll have your bags to you in 10 days, in a realistic time frame. Hey, you know what? You order the bags, we're going to have it to you within a week. We're producing some more. That's the goal. The other issue, and it's difficult, is there's a couple bag companies that are very, very, very popular, and people now collect bags, and they it's a business. They buy them and they resell them. And I'm trying to alleviate that. So it's, Rob owns a bag company, so he understands. So I can only do what I can only do, and he can only do what he can do. I sent every bag company a list of the most updated list of all the players that we have that are signed up for the tournament. I asked those companies, do your best to make sure when orders are coming in that you're shipping the first 50 sets out to tournament players. Just do your best. I mean, it's easy for someone on the side to say, well, I ordered a set and they didn't, and they're blaming the companies. They can only, because they don't have this built in their technology to really monitor this, right? So one of the things that we're going to do is that I suggested to the companies is a limit per household. So when you go on to order bags, you're only allowed to order, depending on the company, maybe one set in each series or one set of each color in each series. But this will eliminate people from, I'm just going to throw it out there. Cat bags there's a big hype over cat bags, and they resell for quite a bit of money on the internet. I don't want this to turn into somebody going out and buying as many cat bags as they can because they want to make money on it. Mm-hmm. So I'm working with her to make sure that truly people that want that bag to play with are able to get that bag. Truly people that want to get the Boardman bags to play with are going to get that bag. Now, it's an awesome thing that these bags have value, and they've got the throwdown. There's never been crow branding, really, very minimal with bag companies to have the throwdown image. And so they are collectible, and I think a lot of people are going to buy them to collect them, which is awesome. We just don't, we're going to try our hardest that people don't try to go buy a bunch of bags to resell and make money and screw a player that actually his favorite bag is a bag company. Someone bought half the bags to make money off of them. So we're trying our best. I mean, it's not perfect. So we're trying our best. And most companies I've talked to, almost all of them are going to produce, the right amount to sell the players. Some companies like Ultra, they've got a value to them too. Like it's business. You don't want to, if you want something to have value because it's kind of a little hard to get. So you don't want to make thousands of sets and put them on sale at Walmart on the blue light special, right? Like you want them to have, they've got a clout to them, I guess, in a sense. So, but I spoke with Mark. Mark has a very popular bag, and Mark's going to do his best to take care of all the players to produce the right amount for the players. Fire bags and all cornhole and boardmen. Everybody's prepared to try to, provide the players with their bags, and we're going to do our best. So, the main thing is people got confused. It wasn't only 50 sets. It was just a minimum on hand that day on the first drop. It doesn't mean they're only going to have 50. It just means that I made them agree to having at least 50 so that, I didn't get, I'm trying to do my best for the players. Players are number one to me always. I run my restaurant like I work at my restaurant. I'm the union rep for my cooks. The Cornhole tournament, I'm the union rep for the players. I'm always thinking about the player. What do we do for the players? Let's pay deep. Let's pay a huge pot for first place, but let's pay deep so that these guys are putting money out and they're traveling. I mean, you can come in, I don't have the numbers on me, but Rob knows, it's like 20th place in the A bracket still pays like $5,000, so
what's the total purse this year?
Total purse this year, well, it's somewhere around $230,000 in the main tournament, right? So first place is like 30 grand. I think second's like 15. I don't have the numbers in front of me, I'm guessing, but so the way it works is you do round robin. The top three are going to go to the A bracket out of the 8. The middle 3 are going to go to the B bracket. And then the bottom 2 are going to go to the C bracket. C bracket ends up becoming just a social tournament. We had some sandbagging issues, as Rob knows, a few years ago. And I talked to guys, and Ken Jones and different people we try to figure out, like, how do we stop the sandbagging to the most point? Once again, it takes a few people to ruin something, right? So the best way to stop it is you got to make first place in the B bracket. You'd have to come in like 40th place in the A to get that, to have the same money, so that people don't think like, oh, there's no way I'm going to come in the top 20, but I can win the B bracket. But Jesse Segovia the year the sandbagging happened, for the most part, guys were bragging about it. Jesse Segovia had just started playing cornhole. It wasn't playing for long. And through that weekend, him and his teammate kept getting elevated, kept getting better. And they made it to the championship against a team that had just won a huge tournament in Florida. So that tells me that they should not have been in the B bracket, right? They had to double dip them, and Jesse and them double dipped them to win it. Cornhole has changed. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's a guarantee you're going to sandbag and win the money, because there's a lot of great players now on all levels, right?
Yeah.
So 230,000 roughly in the main tournament, and then Friday we have the mega blind draws. So they're 64 team blind draws. Anybody can play, even if you're coming out, because there's still some openings and you're not in the tournament, you're coming out with somebody that's in the tournament, you can still sign up for a blind draw Friday night. They're $50 to enter, 64 teams. I think first place in that tournament's like 2,500 and second's like 1,500. So if you take that and then the crew cup Saturday night is 192 team crew cup. We had some hiccups with the crew cup last year, because we ran late and we had just technology things and lights. And so guys got a little frustrated, but they understood. But it went really late. They had to finish on Sunday. So I said, hey, I'm gonna make it up to these guys. Spencer McKenzie's, the restaurant, threw some extra money in for prize money. It pays $8,000 for first place in the crew cup this year.
Nice.
So you take the crew cup and the blind draws in the main tournament, we're paying out over $300,000 in tournament winnings. $100,000.
And this is all going to go down on August the 26th through the 28th, the 2022 World's Largest Cornhole Tournament, the Spencer McKenzie Shootout. If you're just now joining us, we got John Karayan here, the founder. Throwdown. So how's the ticket sales going for this, John? The event, is that sold out?
So we sold out rapidly. And the way social media is, we started doing posts and like, you better sign up, it's going fast. So it was crazy. So the first day we were like, ended up like at 880 spots. But the first hour, it was crazy. It was like, we're watching the computer, me and David. So, David, Dodo's Design, David Garcia is basically like my VP. He's as much a part of this event as mine. He runs all my social media, the signups. We're at his office, we're watching the computer. It was crazy. It was like 225 teams in like 10 minutes or some crazy thing. And then like halfway through the day, it was like 600 and something. So we made a post, you better hurry up and sign up. There's only 100 spots left. And we ended up, at 880 for the day. The next day it was like 9 something. Right now there's actually probably 2 or 3 spots. I always lock out like 25 spots to make sure there's no issues. And if I have a couple sponsors that I allow to, have a rep team. So it's pretty much sold out, but I think there's realistically 3 or 4 spots or something. If you were to go to the site right now and click on, you'd be able to get a spot, but people think it's sold out. We haven't promoted that they're still open. We just kind of it's kind of the lucky guy that goes on there and tries, actually it clicks it and it actually gives him a spot. Right.
Okay.
So it's a done deal. It'll be 1,024 teams. The blind draws, the crew cup is still got some spots left. I think we're somewhere around 180 teams signed up out of the 192. There's a few spots for the blind draws. Crowd wise, because it's a festival, it's not just a tournament. Last year we had 7,200 people click through the gate on Saturday. I would believe that this year we're going to see Friday and Saturday over 8,000 to 9,000 people conservatively each day there. So going back to, I don't want to bounce around, but going back to Rob's question, because I want to talk about the bags, about, the layout and what changes have happened. I relayed the whole event out. I really liked the football, the way it looked like this huge football field of boards, right? We thought this is very efficient to run a tournament. But I felt like we lost a little bit of intimacy. Some of the people thought they liked the park better because it was a little, you were more connected. It wasn't so big and spread out. I mean, what do you think, Rob? What's your thoughts of last year's layout?
Well, you know how I felt about it. And I think a lot of the reason that last year's layout didn't work perfectly is because of how many teams didn't end up showing up and then all them boards that we had down at the end that were empty. And
Exactly.
So I felt like some of the vendors may have lost some exposure because what we thought were going to be a bunch of players down here ended up being just a bunch of empty boards.
We didn't know. So we had 900 teams pay, roughly 700 and some teams showed up. And unfortunately, Joe didn't know, and Becky didn't know that until an hour before the tournament was going to start. Like, these guys aren't showing up. We're 150 teams short. COVID really spiked last summer, and people just, it really hurt some of the attendance a little bit, right? So they placed everybody from one end to the other. Well, they get down to the end. We've got 20 sets of boards that we're supposed to have groups of 8, and they weren't there to be there, right? So it made that end of the court kind of dead. And we had a vendor row that those vendors didn't have that huge crowd at their end, and nobody's fault at all. Joe, I mean, just didn't know. They were dealing with so much registration stuff from people changing names and a list that was 2 years old because of COVID. And so that being said, I thought, I listened to the complaints, and sometimes you blow them off and sometimes you listen, and I notice the same things people notice because I feel like I'm there to be one of the people enjoying the event, right? So bathrooms, we had bathrooms on one side of the event. You had to walk all the way across the event to go to the bathrooms, right? And cornhole players, they drink a lot of beer. They got to go pee a lot.
I know I've visited those bathrooms at least 100 times.
I mean, if I was a businessman, I'd charge a buck to use the red. I'd put a coin slot on there. I'd be a millionaire. So
European toilets, pay toilet.
For the guys that were there last year and kind of remember the event went parallel to the railroad tracks, right? You got this big square parking lot. It went parallel to the railroad tracks. We took the footprint and we spun it. So now it's parallel to the Crown Plaza and the road you drive in on. And so essentially the stage, the back of the stage, you're looking at the ocean. And then the opposite end of the event is the railroad track. So if you guys remember, we had the stage and we had that big grass area that everybody was sitting on, right? And then the boards went to the sides. This year you got the stage, you've got the grass area, and then that you've got the courts are put into groups of 6 this year. So you can walk around a court and watch the game. So you've got this 75 foot wide by 100 foot long grass with 4 courts, 2 courts on each side of it. And then I took the tents that went along the site that went along the event last year, the 20 by 100 tents. I put them up against the court and then put another court on the other side. So essentially, if you're like looking at an aerial shot, you've got this 20 by 100 foot tent with courts on both sides of the top and the bottom of it. So, and then you got that on both sides of the grass. So you got the grass, you've got courts next to the grass, a tent, and then courts on the other side of the tent. So you can sit under the tent, you can sit on the grass. So then you go walk through that like you're walking Tournament Central last year, and the event's like a cross. There's like a center hub. So you have the same thing above that, but in the middle of the two things of grass and courts is my blind draw this year. So anybody can come play cornhole. You play and you win prizes. This mega blind draw, you pay $10, $15. We blind draw you a partner. You're going to win bags. You're going to win surfboards. You're going to win White Claw Yeti stuff like this White Claw. It's fun all weekend long cornhole. So that's in the middle. And so I listened the vendors, and I looked and saw what Rob saw with what happened with the vendors. The vendors this year are put into groups of 4, and they're 20 by 20 squares. So they're in the middle of the event. So essentially, you've got the courts above and the courts below, and then courts off to the side, and you got the bars in the middle. So everybody is walking through that center hub, everybody. So that's kind of like the center of the event. You got the bars in the center, all the vendors in the center. There's no bad vendor spot. There's not like that guy's facing a better direction than I'm facing because the crowd's walking through the vendors, right? If you essentially think of it as a cross, you've got, the stage, and then you've got all those courts in the grass going through the center. And then in the middle of the cross going out to the sides, we had that sand beach party area last year. So to the right, you have the beach area, which has a court on each side of it. So now those people playing in there in round robin day, they've got tents in that sand area to hang out on, which will have some bands and a DJ. We're doing a lot of cool stuff this year with that. All the courts by the grass have the tent, the grass to hang out on. You go to the left to the center, there's a 65-foot by 50-foot event tent. It's massive. And in front of that is the championship court, which we have bleachers this year in front of the championship court. Then we have the opposite side has got a deck with, be doing the commentating and the VIP viewing area and podcast stuff. The championship court is legit. So it will have 0 wind because it will have bleachers blocking from the beach. We'll have the tent blocking from the other direction. So it'll have 0 wind. We'll be live streaming on that court all weekend long. ACL will have live on CBS Sports on Friday, their pro shootout on that court. Then we'll be live streaming games all weekend long leading up to Sunday, ESPN3 live streaming on that court. And then, so that big tent has 2 courts next to it. So those people, the courts, there's 6, right? So all those people get to hang out in that big, massive tent by the championship court. So everybody has shade. They have things going on around them, lifestyle things. I think that layout is 1,000%. I wouldn't say that it wasn't good last year. It was an awesome layout, but I feel like this is way 1,000% better for the atmosphere, for people getting to move around a little bit, for just keeping that experience and that environment and the energy up. Rob, we learned that last year we tried to use the big stage and we put our championship court in it, and that venue is set up for concerts. And so I wouldn't say I didn't get what I asked for, but I explained to the tech guys and to the company about how we want our music played. Well, we ended up with this big stage for concerts and a massive stack of speakers, using those speakers to put music across the whole venue, which is massive. Then you had poor Mark Pryor there and Rob, and they're trying to announce game. And Mark's got his girlfriend or wife, I think it's his girlfriend. And Mark, they're troopers. I mean, Mark's got the music blaring in his ear the whole time. And I guess he did complain. I'm just going to say he complained a little bit, but it was not a bad, we talked about it and we both understood. And so this year, the stage is for the concerts only. It's only for the concerts. And then we're going to have a system throughout the event with the speakers in zones so where we can control the sound. So we have great music everywhere and it's at the right tone. It's not being blared out, right? We can control it over by the championship court. We can control it at the beach area where we'll have a DJ set. We'll have bands. And I'm adding a little bit more food to it this year, some different. So it's a Spencer McKenzie's, but we're also going to have a little barbecue booth too that I'm going to do, but it's going to provide a variety of food. We have mini donuts this.
Oh shit.
I'm going to have a booth that has Mexican fruit, like with the tahini. And my whole thing about this event is the culture, as you know, like I want to bring the California culture and the cornhole culture, right? So last year we came in the 64 Impala, and Dr. Dre bumping, like that's we live on the beach, so we have the beach culture, the woodies and the surfing, but then we have the Southern California culture of the lowriders and the hot rods, and so I want to make that's an experience of the event, right?
And that's one thing I took from last year's event, man, was that kick-ass entrance you and your family came in on. That was pretty badass, man.
That was badass. So
yeah.
So going back to, you mentioned earlier about North Carolina, I'm bringing out and I think most people are going to know him, especially from the East Coast. So I'm bringing out Sonny Leopard. Have you guys ever heard of Sonny Leopard? Do you know who he is?
Yeah, man, you got me on that one. The name sounds familiar. Yeah.
So yeah, Sonny Leopard.
I looked him up after you told me. I hadn't heard of him until you told me to look him up. So I'm looking forward to it. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Sonny Leopard is from North Carolina. I think North Carolina, not South Carolina. I could be wrong. So last year I'm at my house. We had a little private thing on Thursday night before the event, and Jason McCann, I'm playing my playlist. And when I fish bass tournaments, I have a certain type of music I listen to that just pumps me up. Kind of like the guys that have the ear pods, right, when they're throwing cornhole. And I listen to this kind of Southern rock, country, rap kind of stuff. And so Jason, the song comes on, Jim Sharp by Sonny Leopard. He's like, how do you know this guy's music out here? And I said, well, I love Sonny Leopard. He goes, well, he's, I used to go watch him play, in my hometown. He's from South Carolina, North Carolina. And he's like, you got to get this guy to play at your tournament. Well, we reached out to him and they're really into it. So he toured with the PBR for a long time. He's got a lot of songs he wrote about the PBR, professional bull riders. Mm-hmm. His music is freak fun, like the things he talks about. He's an entertainer, and he's going to do a 90-minute DJ set, then he's going to do a full set on the stage. He's got songs that he's done with Colt Ford, and once you start listening to his music, you're going to recognize some of it. But a lot of guys out there know who he is, and they're like, Jason was fired up. Jason was almost like, I'm not even going to play in the tournament. I'm not going to play in the Crew Cup because I want to watch Sonny Leopard. I want to party with Sonny Leopard. He's going to bring another level of entertainment that's going to blow people's minds. I'm telling you, once he starts playing and everybody, hopefully we're going to start showing his videos and his music and people learn the songs a little bit. They're fun songs, and some of it's not kid appropriate, the words, but it's party. So Kim, and then I have Dave Ray with ADD, local guy that's played several years. People love. Dave's like a human beatbox. He can play. He'll play Prince, Madonna, Maroon 5, Jason Aldean. He can do anything. And then Mandex, which is like my house band. They do the 80s hair band stuff. They put on a huge production. They do a great job. And I'm trying to get one more act to go along with Sonny Leopard on Saturday. But I tell you guys are going to be blown away by Sonny Leopard. You're going to be blown away by him.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. Be awesome.
It's anything like it was last year, man. Those bands were great on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. So and I've got more props this year and more. We're going to do some fun. Rob can, it was a heartbreaker. So we shot those bags off of with the slingshot, 200 feet, right, Rob? Well,
yes, sir.
I came close. Dave came kind of close. Well, the guys are already drinking. They've only been there for an hour. They're already drinking and buzzed. And so one of the guys thinks it'd be funny to tell his friend, yeah, if you catch the bag in the air, you get a free T-shirt. Well, which wasn't true. Rob's bag's going for the hole, right? I mean, it's like it's going in the hole, and the dude dives in front of it and grabs it. He's like the dude at the baseball game, right? The home run ball, and Boston fans are gonna.
Did Rob?
So here's part of.
Did Rob get a consolation prize for that? He should have.
Honestly, I saw a tear come out of Rob's eye. I'm not kidding you. I saw a tear come out of his eye.
I got a T-shirt. John gave me a T-shirt over it. I can tell you that.
So, this year, you're going to get throughout the weekend. You're going to get to go up on the stage. Anybody's going to get to do that this year. So we're going to probably 3 times a day for an hour. Have crowd control out there, and you get to pay it's going to be $5 for 3 bags. and the pot's going to keep building until whoever makes it in that hole is going to get to keep 50% of the pot. I imagine that pot's going to get up to $1,000 to $3,000. Because I'm going to start the pot off with money, but you'll get to shoot that, and then there's going to be a long toss. I started doing the long toss 10 years ago, where we put the board out 60 feet, and you got to throw 3 bags, and I like $100 bill up, and I think John Benner, somebody won it one year where they made it Now these guys are good at corn. We're gonna have to move that thing out to 80 feet, but. So there's a lot of fun things to do for people that aren't even in the tournament. Like there's all kinds of things for people to do, even kids. Like I'm going to try to bring in a few more things for kids. We had the mechanical bull last year. We'll have it for free just to let the kids. I want it to be it's a family thing. It's not people bring their kids, and it's a great thing. It's you can enjoy the weekend and watch and have a good time. So.
Well, John, the most important question that everybody wants to ask is Rob Chismark going to be on the mic again this year?
We're gonna. Rob is my. What would you call him? The mayor of the mayor of the event. What's Rob? My master of ceremony.
The MC.
Honest, and not just because Rob's. This is your show, but Rob and I have become good friends, and I feel like. I want Rob, in a sense, to be the face of the event as the event's going on. He does a great job. Like it's about experience, right? And I love the way that Rob commentates the game and the little nuances that he says and the things that and we're going to put some videos together to show people over the years of what Rob's done. And there's a whole story how Rob got involved in this. So Rob does a great job, and he makes it more exciting for people to watch a cornhole game. That's my opinion. So we're going to make sure that Rob's doing more announcing this year, and master of ceremonies type stuff. So yeah, so you'll be able to come say hi to Rob and have a beer with Rob, I guess, or a White Claw actually with Rob.
I think this year you might have some kids running up to you asking you for autographs there, Rob.
I love them micheladas too. I'm not going to lie, John.
Hey, but before we wrap this up, because we got to soon wrap this up, let me go ahead and put this out there. So we're talking with John Karayan. He's the owner of Spencer McKenzie's Fish Company, and also the founder of the Spencer McKenzie Shootout, which is coming up on August 26th and 28th at the Ventura County. What's that?
The Spencer McKenzie's Throwdown.
I got to emphasize the throwdown, folks. The throwdown, and that's going to be at the Ventura County Fairgrounds, 10 West Harvard Boulevard, Ventura, California, 93001. John says there's tickets still out there available. You got the event fee is $300. You got the big blind draw is $50. The crew cup is $160, and women's is $80. So get out there, get your tickets now, because we're not really telling you there's tickets available right now. Wink, wink. So there might be a couple on the website. John,
actually, I don't know. It could actually be locked out at this point now because that was a day or so when I talked to David. But they could try. They might be able to get a spot. But then also, I just want to say, I want to just thing as we talk about things evolving and just a little, Joe with the CCA has been involved for about 4 or 5 years, helping me with it, and has always done a great job, great entity. And so I just kind of made a decision with, as the things have evolved to allow the ACL to help me with it this year, and very happy with the decision. I think they're going to do a great job. So Friday they're going to do a pro shootout and film it live on CBS. This year they're going to bring tablets, so we'll have tablets at all the courts, which that's a big benefit to the event, right? Having the tablets at the court. It's going to be my format, not, it's still the throwdown is still the throwdown. I'm just hiring them to run the tournament and help them facilitate things. So it's going to be basic scoring. We're not going to be tracking all these different things like you typically would see at an ACL, event.
Yeah, no bag track.
So it's still going to be fair, no bag tracker. But we'll have the tablets. They'll have a big tournament central. I think they're going to be very organized about how they go about running the tournament. And so I had a few meetings personally with Trey and Stacy, and I'm excited to partner up with them. And I feel like we both had something to offer each other, and we're excited to see what becomes. We've got all cornhole. Chad, we're using his boards this year again. We've used Joe's boards, OVC boards several times. I made boards a few years. We've used Chad's boards, and I think if you saw the video I had the other day, I said, I feel like we're known for great products, great boards, great bags, and this year's no exception. I think the boards are awesome. They got a really good look to them. We've got branded courts. If someone wanted to go on and buy a branded court, there's a couple available, so you can actually sponsor a court where you get your logos on the boards, you keep the boards, you get your branding on that court. It's 6 sets, so people can, there's a few of those left. A few companies in the industry have already purchased some of them.
Hey, so me and Rob can get a sticky side court. We can get our logo on a court.
6
for 6. You get, so it's $4,800. You get 6 sets of boards with your logo prominent, the throwdown underneath, and then the court has branding around the whole court, all your banners, and then you give us commercials. We'll play commercials, and we promote you all weekend long. And that being said, in sponsorship, I want to just so my sponsors have stepped up and helped out, because this is a major, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars of produces. People don't understand what goes into this. It's insane. So some of my sponsors, last year I had Swift Trucking there. This year they stepped up. They became one of my, higher end sponsors, which, it's those partnerships that help you. I couldn't make this happen without those sponsors stepping up and being a part. There's no way to afford to do it without all the different moving parts, right? So Swift is one of my bigger sponsors. So anybody out there, I'm just giving them a plug. The reason why Swift is there is because they believe in it. They have drivers that are playing in the tournament. They had a great time last year, and it's an opportunity for them to promote recruitment. So we're going to do some cool stuff with Swift. Like they're going to be picking my boards up in South Carolina and driving them across the country back over to the event. And we're going to have to try to recruit drivers. So great company to work for. We're going to do some giveaways, people that fill out an application at the event and actually sign up to be a driver and go to work for them. We're going to do some cool stuff for those people. So if you're a truck driver and you're looking for a job, Swift Trucking, great company. And, as always, the Tree Factory is going to be there with their big, huge Tree Factory tent. They were one of my big sponsors. So Smokey, if you're listening out there, they'll be there, Smokey. Bay Alarm stepped it up. They're one of my big sponsors. And so White Claw, we haven't chosen a beer company yet. We'll choose one here soon, but
I'm happy
White Claw supported me. What's that?
No, I said I'm happy with White Claw because I visited their tent a lot last year. Drink a lot of White Claws.
Yeah. So anyway, cool. So we'll talk about that stuff later. I just wanted to throw that out there because it means a lot. You guys, everybody knows you got to have those people to make things work. So,
well, John, thanks for being on the show.
Before we wrap this up, I have a very important question.
Uh-oh.
John just laid this out here today. He said on Sunday there's going to be ESPN3 broadcasting. John, I gotta have a professional Spencer McKenzie throwdown shirt with a nice little logo up here in the left pocket, especially if there's going to be some ESPN3 coverage and Rob's going to be involved in that. So I'll be looking forward to that, John.
Yeah,
smooth.
Yeah. This plug. So the Jersey guy is our Jersey sponsor. Chris for all the years of the Jersey guy.
I need a professional shirt, John. I need one that, a real nice polo. I got to look good, John.
Yeah. So ESPN3 is going to be awesome. I think it's going to give people a chance across the country to these are one of the reasons I went with the ACL. They were able to get me connected to the things that I had a hard time doing on my own. And so there's benefits for the ACL to get involved, and there's benefits for me. That's why I feel like it's such a good marriage. And this is one of them. I think ESPN3 is a huge step in the right direction for us.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
I hope this partnership lasts long, and this works out great this year for the 2022 shootout, man. The throwdown. The throwdown. I got shootout, but there's also a shootout there that weekend too, the ACL shootout. So I mean, hey.
The ACL director like Rob, is that what we're putting all these plugs in for the shootout?
I guess I didn't know, bro. I didn't know.
Well, hey, man, thanks again, John. We'll see you at the tournament, man, in August. I know I'll be out there. I got my ticket bought. I got my hotel, my flight. We're ready to rock, man. I just got to find a partner, All right, man. This is Mike. That's Rob, and this is the Sticky Side. Don't forget, like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your shows. Spotify, iTunes, you name it, we're there. All right, peace. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. See ya.
You got it. Later.
Heck yeah, John.
Oh, just a wannabe cornhole stars saying cheap hotels and driving beat up cars. The crowd gets crazy and the beers ain't cheap. We get drunk all day, so we just don't eat, and we hang out at the local bar, throwing bags in the hole like we have it all.